This program is part of the Infinite Potato Alliance. Visit us at infinitepotato.com.
I'm Jared Stern. I think people should listen because we're desperate for attention right now.
I'm also Jared Stern. This is what I like to call an exercise in benign narcissism.
And you're Between Two Sterns. Just check this. 10 million downloads for the last episode. People love the new format.
It's amazing.
There's nobody who can check whether that's right or not.
I certainly can.
That's true. Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, to Between Two Sterns.
To Between Two Sterns. And if you're watching, it's this giant bright window.
That's right currently between us.
That I didn't decide to pull the blackout curtains for because it's frustrating to do. And I'm limiting my frustrations nowadays.
Always good call.
Welcome back to everyone. Welcome back to you.
Yeah.
And
the 2 weeks in a row, what are we even doing here?
I mean, I don't want to brag, but 2 weeks in a row, we've done 2 weeks in a row.
We have, just not recently.
No, not recently, but it's like, you get too used to it. That's why sometimes you need to use the, like, or the but if you just do the sometimes you get a little too used to it, and I know that many people will disagree with me about that.
What sounds were you just making?
Find us in the comments and tell me if you know what sounds I was making.
Okay.
I know what sounds I was making.
Well, I'm glad you did.
I do,
and
too.
I'm glad other people who are listeners who are listening.
John Irons. I'd love to hear John Irons in the comments trying to figure out what sounds I was making.
Because I thought you were trying to reenact something from Young Frankenstein.
No, it's from a Barbie commercial I watched a couple weeks ago.
A Barbie commercial.
For Blind Barbie. It doesn't matter.
Oh.
Check out last episode.
By the way, no, hang on. I have feedback from the last episode.
Oh, do you?
And it's not people shouting at me, by the way. It's not people shouting at
I'm
me.
glad our echo chamber supports you.
Yes, they do. Okay. So, my Uncle Dave, who you have met, he is a P1 of this show, texted me. He works in health and communications.
I just want to let you know that I love the history you're giving of each person of this feedback.
What?
It's not just like this person said. It's like my Uncle Dave, who you've met, and he works in this industry. Go on.
I'm letting you know he's got a background. Anyway, he says, as someone who has worked with who worked with people who have sight-related disabilities.
Okay.
It's not just representation in the Barbie multiverse. It is the ability for a child to experience a Barbie that has the same attributes that the child does. Since people who do not have eyesight don't see how the Barbie looks like them is almost irrelevant. They experience the Barbie in different ways. And so I said, I appreciate the insight, as always. And I also got some other feedback from a friend of the show, Dave White, who has his own podcast.
So this is what's the name of the first guy?
Dave, my Uncle Dave.
Is everybody named David?
Just in this instance, yes.
Both of them are named David.
Both of them are Dave,
and neither one is a father or a son or the other.
No, that's not how names work.
Sometimes a David is both a father, and then they name their son David.
Right, but that's not these two particular Davids are not related.
Okay, I know of a David whose biological father is named David.
I understand juniors
and then
exist.
The woman got remarried to a guy named David.
Okay, so he said, so he has his own podcast called The Ancient and Esoteric Order of the Jackalope. I'm not going to explain what that show is about because he sent us a promo for his podcast that I said I would play on ours, and that'll play right now.
The Ancient and Esoteric Order of the Jackalope is a secret society devoted to sharing strange stories and amazing facts. No topic is off limits. Hidden history, Hollywood, hoaxes, frauds and scams, weird sciences, cults and clones. If it's interesting or entertaining, we'll do an episode about it. Join us this series for episodes about Civil War spies, boat cults, fake mediums, cloud dongs, and more. What's a cloud dong? You'll just have to listen to find out. Look for us at orderthejackalope.com. That's orderthejackalope.com with hyphens between the words, or wherever fine podcasts are sold.
So check out that show.
What the fuck was that? Where did this plug come in out of nowhere? Now I have to continue the rest of the podcast. I don't know what the show is about. I didn't hear the plug. We didn't play it in real time.
I'll play it for you.
What am I retroactively being like, well, that was great.
It was.
Thank you for the esoteric jackalhole of David. What?
Anyway, he says, I appreciate that Barbie depicts blindness in the most Barbie way possible by reducing a disability to a set of fashion and accessories.
If for those of you who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, go back and listen to the last episode.
One would hope that someone had listened to the previous episode.
Of course.
Where people listen from show to show.
Of course, and for new listeners who are coming in, they're certainly
Check
not
out the last episode.
Loading up the podcast and being like, oh, there are 125 of these. I guess I'll start from this point on. But I think the point that I was going to make last episode is maybe some of your frustration is that the blind Barbie concept is more of accessory based than the doll itself, where you could sell the blind accessories for $14, which is the cane and the glasses,
right,
and turn any Barbie into one with that disability if you so choose.
Sure. My primary thing is if you're someone with a sight-related disability,
right,
if you are blind,
yeah,
and you experience the world in a different way,
right,
why not make the Barbie specifically either A, more tactile, maybe it has a scent-based something or other to it. Use the other senses, is all I'm saying. Maybe the hair smells like something. I
I'm
don't
waiting
know.
for you to do all of them. I'm curious what's going to happen when you get to taste.
Maybe it's a scratch and sniff. Maybe you can lick the Barbie. I don't know.
And on that note,
por ejemplo, is what I'm going with
I
here.
can't wait for the edited Barbie Gate video. That
I
just
don't understand
came out.
why you think there's some kind of backlash. I'm making very sensible points here.
I agree with your points. I'm waiting for the edited compilation of us talking about this blind Barbie concept over multiple episodes. Is all I'm saying.
Well, hopefully there will not be another chapter in the blind Barbie saga. But I just wanted to let you know that people, listeners who are listening, had some feedback.
This is the hill. I'm never letting this go. Bringing this back constantly. This is the callback of season. What are we in? 21, 22 at this point?
7. Season
7. Are we in season 7?
Season 7.
It's because the graphic hasn't changed. I haven't tracked.
They are arbitrary, much like the points in Whose Line Is It Anyway, which you've talked about. Well, all of this is arbitrary. We could be on one long 125 episode season. We've chosen to break it up because we've had natural breaks,
yes,
and we've also taken time off in between.
Extended.
Now that if someone's coming in brand new,
yeah,
like you just referenced, maybe they don't know that, and they can listen all the way through, and they won't process the various breaks. But I feel like we've put in, like, we've had big guests at the end of seasons or at the beginning of seasons. Yeah. So that's kind of one way we
I got you.
Marked out. Plus, there are thematic arcs that
have
happened.
There are thematic arcs
from season to season. Well, we're still going to find this one, and it's not going to be Blind Barbie.
Any other housekeeping before we get to the topic?
The only other thing I can think of is just to remind people to check out jaredstern.com for upcoming shows in your area that would feature me. Specifically, September 14th at the Stoltz Listening Room inside the Avalon Theater in Easton, Maryland. 2 shows, 7 and 9:30. Check that out. It should be a lot of fun. I'm headlining. You'll see a lot of me. Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up real quick, because we were talking about time travel last time.
We did talk about it.
And much like, well, we had mentioned this before. We go into these shows generally with no prep. Sometimes we bring, like, hey, I want to talk about this into it. But for something like that, I didn't know we were going to talk about time travel at the time.
Yeah.
So maybe I was a little off-put by the topic, thrown on my heels, as it were. Not to bring the proceedings down or anything, but there's a specific thing that I definitely would do if I had the ability to travel in time.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got mine also, but I feel like we were just kind of steering. I mean, those are givens.
Yeah, no.
Those
I
are
mean,
givens. Yeah.
there is, there's the lighthearted stuff, but then there's also, we would definitely.
I think we all agree that if we lost a loved one, we would do anything
Yeah.
to experience just one more day with that person. And it would be very difficult for me to weigh that against just popping in and seeing who made the pyramids.
Sure.
Because I feel like that would also clear up a lot of questions.
Just in
for me.
case anybody who listened to the last episode would be like, hey, wait a second, are you sure that's what you
What
do?
were you talking? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. 3 options of a topic to talk about on a podcast, something 2 hosts can take opposing points of view on. Do you want to add anything into this prompt?
No, I think that sounds specific enough.
Okay. Three options. Here we go. Okay. I'm actually pretty happy about this. So
Cool.
we've got best way to eat a pizza, which is option 1. And
Okay.
again, this is not what I'm happy about. That doesn't seem like anything. 2, morning people versus night owls.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3, reality TV shows, trash or treasure.
Oh, well, I think that's definitely where you're going there.
We are going to do reality TV shows. Are they trash or are they treasure? And
Which side would you like to take on
I
that
can
one?
literally do either.
Yeah, no, same here. Because there are some that are true treasures, and there are others that are just garbage for garbage sake. And I think that's part of their inherent entertainment value is that they are just garbage that you can just mindlessly sit there and watch. There's other stuff like Survivor, like some of the other strategy-based gamified reality TV that require some, like I said, some strategy, some thinking, some realizing who the characters are, who's turned their backs on whom, that sort of thing.
I think that what's great, first of all, I think reality TV is just almost too broad of a genre. Right?
Completely.
Like, I think you made a great point. You have I think if we were to break them into categories, you have your strategy-based games, right? A winner of some sort. And that winner can be Survivor. Essentially, the game where at the very end, a victory or a defeat is determined by the process of the game.
Sure.
And that can have subgenres as well. So you have Survivor, obviously. I would also put, like, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette in the same category,
totally, yeah.
right? Even, like, Love is Blind. Right?
All contests.
Right.
But then there's also the ones that are strictly voyeuristic that show you almost a documentary style behind the scenes of something.
Correct.
Like Below Deck or Real Housewives or any of those things.
Right. And then I feel like there's a third genre, even though I don't know what it is yet.
Okay.
But I had the momentum, I had the inertia to prep a third one.
Oh, okay.
And I don't feel good that it's not resolved with a third one. So a third version of reality TV would probably have to be something in the hybrid state, right? Where it's part of the cast, somebody is creating something that they know is not true and incorporating elements from people that believe that it's true. So this is where I would put, like, your Impractical Jokers, your Jackasses.
Prank shows? Okay.
Prank shows, Punk'd. I think that there's a component of that being reality TV as well.
One of the real advantages that reality television has, and what television executives really honed in on, is that, well, we don't have to pay actors anymore. We can get real people and have them do real people stuff, and let the human drama play out. Now, what has happened is that now these reality shows are way more scripted than maybe they were in the beginning, because real people are still on television.
Right.
And it still needs to fit a televised format where it's actually interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And not all, real people engaging with each other can be boring as all get out most of the time, unless there's a plot or a narrative, something or other happening. And while you can get real people to kind of fit that mold,
right.
Trying to fit just everyday interactions with no direction is difficult.
So I think that's why maybe that's why Survivor has been so good for so long. And for context, I got into Survivor like way fucking late. I got into Survivor
last season.
this year.
Yeah.
I think since April, May. I've watched 28, 29, 30 seasons of Survivor straight
that's
through.
insane. Now, are you planning on having finished Survivor by the time the new season starts?
I don't think I've had that level of deadline added to it. I'm not like, it's definitely the primary show that I'm watching, and I'll fill in other shows as I go, but the arc of just like Americana and like the landscape by which the entire country has changed is made evident in the seasons of Survivor.
Well,
mainly because what they're trying to do is they're trying to create that controversy. And so by creating that controversy, they're bringing in people who are intentionally contradictory to each other and will like have conflict.
so here's what's happened over the evolution of reality television.
Yeah.
What people have found by watching so much reality TV, realizing they could be on reality TV.
I was going to say that as well, right?
So over the 20, 25 years that reality TV has flourished,
Yeah.
and people are now so aware of what it takes to be on these shows,
Right.
and all the archetypes from previous shows that have been successful and have gained attention or been fan favorites or villains
Yeah.
or whatever, that people are now going out and trying to be these archetypes rather than letting them naturally just kind of happen.
And what I love about watching the show in the version I am, which was I went back to season 1 and started watching through old, box screen. I had the black bars on either side, non-HD.
Not HD.
Obviously, you're going to start encountering your villains in the show. But what's great about watching it in my time is these villains, I look at and I go, fuck these guys, they're terrible. I hope bad things happen to them in life.
Well,
but then I realized that this happened 20 years ago.
Right.
So I get to immediately realize that it did. Like, they
get
look
to
terrible.
find all the karma,
their
right.
life is awful. And I was like, good. That's what you deserve.
But what I was trying to say is, now people are actively trying to be those
Right.
things. Back then, in the season 1 of Survivor, no one knew any different. So all of those archetypes happened naturally.
Right.
They occurred actually in the moment. You found, guys like Richard Hatch,
Right.
who were trying to just agents of chaos to try to win the game. People who would realize that they could lie,
Yeah.
cheat, and do whatever they need to do to win these games. There was people had to realize what real morality was and what television morality was.
And I think in the competitive worlds, that's where you saw a lot more of those archetypes coming out. I mean, very ego-driven in, like, the Below Decks and, like, the Real Housewives. I don't really get into those genres, but, like, one thing that I think is really fascinating as, like, an inadvertent byproduct of talking about this is that the spillover from incorporating reality into TV and then this, like, removal and spillover of reality TV into reality. And I know we don't do a lot of this, but I don't think there's a greater example than watching the evolution of the show The Apprentice
Oh, God.
now turning into the political landscape that we're in,
Well,
which
sure.
is everything you just talked about. Everything. The intentional antagonization, the becoming the villain, the playing the character. That's all Trump does. If 200 years from now, if another set of aliens came back and wanted to build pyramids, and in the process of building the pyramids found the old tapes and saw The Apprentice and, like, the 2024 political campaign, they would think they're watching the continuation of the same fictional show. They would not sit there and go, oh, this is real life and this is a TV show.
But the thing about The Apprentice and Trump in general, and it was that he was entirely a creation of the TV show
Right.
landscape. He was not as successful as he was making out,
Right.
because he was just showing it, hamming it up, playing it up for the cameras. When in fact, he's like however many countless bankruptcies and failed
Right.
businesses and everything like that. So he was all smoke and mirrors, but because he was validated by
Right.
being on television, because he was being shown as this successful person, the man behind
Right.
this, this facade on TV, and so he had he had that currency to kind of spend. He had the extra recognition of that, because before that, he was like, he had a couple of roles in as himself in movies. I think he was in Home Alone 2.
He was.
He was also,
and by was I mean the exact definition of that word. Was. I believe he's been edited out of the...
Oh, really? They took him out?
I think they digitally removed him.
But
George Lucas did it.
But he did a whole thing in the WWE for a little while. He had a whole storyline with Vince McMahon.
But yes.
Trust me, he did.
I was just going to say, I confirmed that way too quickly.
So he's always been the huckster. He's always been the P.T. Barnum. He's always been he's kind of like the epitome of the people who are on reality television who are making their own personalities bigger to be on television.
Right.
They're not actually these people in real life, but they are inflated versions of themselves in order to get cast on a reality television show.
I think as we break down trash versus treasure, in broad strokes, just a general question, do you like reality TV?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what it is.
Correct. I gravitate towards the competitive natured ones.
Most of what Andrea and I watch on TV are reality programming, whether it be Survivor. We're watching Big Brother right now.
Right.
The Amazing Race. But we also there was a survival show called Race to Survive, where these survivalists, it's also a competition show. They race through the wilds of New Zealand to try to win a cash prize. But they have a camera crew on them at all times.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily acting. You just get to see them do all this shit.
I like reality TV a lot, and I like it because I find scripted stuff to be too predictable.
But you can't say that reality television isn't predictable, because it totally is.
But it's predictable for an entirely different reason. Like when I watch reality TV, and I know there are others out there who are as neurotic as me. I'm watching how much screen time people are getting.
Sure.
Oh, they're focusing on Dylan a lot.
The quote unquote winner's edit.
Oh, they're focusing on him. Oh, you know what? He's talking about, oh, there's no way he's getting voted out. I don't know. I watch the edit a little bit more, and especially having watched so much Survivor, I can kind of track the edit to figure out what's going on. But I find that there is an unpredictable nature to it. There is something that just means that these are humans making human choices, and those human choices can be stupid. See, here's the thing. When I watch Survivor and I watch somebody make a stupid choice, I don't like the choice, but I accept the choice as being stupid. When I watch season 8 and 9 of The Office, and I watch a character make a stupid choice, I'm like, who the fuck thought that this was a good idea in the right...
But here's the difference between a scripted show
right.
like The Office, who plays to be a documentary,
exactly,
but actually isn't, and something like Survivor. Because Survivor, what they do is they film all this footage.
Sure.
They go through all of the all of the competitions and the interactions, everything.
Right.
Then the editors go and find the narrative. They go and take everything that's happened and build a narrative around it. So in the moment, people, the people competing don't know what the fuck is going on when it comes to the narrative. But when you go back and watch the show, the people who are editing the show have to find a compelling story.
Yes. And I think they've done a good job of that. One thing that I keep hearing in Survivor is they talk about the edit.
Yeah.
How did you feel you were portrayed in the
exactly,
edit?
sure. And some people might have been like, well, yeah, you showed me as this giant asshole, but you left out this entire conversation that I had with so-and-so when I told them, when I opened up to them about, this or that.
Yeah.
Obviously there's only an hour that they have, hour and a half, I don't know how long these shows are now, but they only have a certain amount of time to fill from show to show, and if you are trying to craft a narrative around a certain character, then you're going to leave some stuff on the cutting room floor.
What about a show like, did you ever see Jury Duty?
Oh, I love Jury Duty. I thought Jury Duty was great.
I think it was exceptional in its miss. I thought it was fantastic and yet still got it completely wrong.
got it wrong.
100% wrong.
How'd they get it wrong?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know what Jury Duty is, please check it out. I think it's on Freebie?
Freebie or, yeah.
Somewhere, Tubi or something
It's
like
on,
that.
It's on one of those lesser streaming
The
channels.
premise of it is it's a reality TV show for one person. One guy is selected to be on this jury duty. Everyone else around him is an actor. And they're all pretending to play a part around him in order to just kind of like test and see like how he would be on a real jury.
It is
So
one of the
good.
most elaborate pranks you'll ever see.
And yet when we say the word prank, like the ending has so much heart and so much soul.
Yeah.
It's a transformative experience that still, it is a monumental success that failed completely in its concept and inception.
I don't understand how you think it failed.
So the way the show is shot is the actors take on the role of characters. And those characters establish who those characters are by doing talking heads with us to say, you know, oh, I'm a nerdy guy, da-da-da-da-da, or the girl, oh, this is... But they live that character 24/7 around him and on the talking head. Which means that at a certain point, this guy who they're performing in front of is nowhere around. And the only person doing the direct address
That is
the person who is still in character talking to the producer who knows that they're in character, saying shit that does not matter.
That is the only... You know what? Now that you
What
bring that
those
up,
talking heads should be is them dropping character and in real time
explaining
going,
how things are going
I
on.
got really panicked when he started bringing this up, and I was like, okay, I got to come up with something. So I had to pivot this, but Vivian doesn't know that I made that pivot and it was a connection point. So if you'll notice, I had to pull her to the side over here and give her... It needed to be a hybrid of what he is seeing and a behind the scenes of the talking head.
I will give you that. I mean, it's been a little while since I've watched it, but yeah, I think that was a complaint of mine as well. I wouldn't call it a failure of the show.
I think the failure of the show is that the show, you needed to watch the entire thing to get to the meat of it, which was how they did it.
Yeah.
It's not like, this is not a magic trick where walk me through the steps, because it's even more compelling when I know what you're struggling with behind the scenes to make it happen than to have this like polished finished product.
There certainly there was a lack of producer's notes.
Correct.
When it came to that sort of
and
thing.
I think that this nuance would have added, this change would have added nuance to it.
But that show is indicative of what makes reality television great, is that you find these everyday people who are so goddamn compelling that you would never get out of a written character.
Yeah.
Or you would hope you get it out of a written character, but because these people are so genuine,
Right.
they can establish an immediate connection with an audience they don't know is there, but an immediate connection with the audience because they're a genuine person and a nice, a cool person. Like they lucked out on that particular bit of casting, because that guy could have been a complete dud, and then the entire show would have fell on his face.
I agree 100% with you, and I think there is no greater example of that than this reality TV show.
Oh, yeah?
Because what do we do except pluck Jared Sturds from obscurity?
Yeah, that's true.
And put them on camera with their compelling and interesting lives.
And we have...
And them being genuinely good people, except for director
Oh,
Jared Stern, who is a self-proclaimed,
Hey, we're all narcissists.
and by self-proclaimed, I mean he is not obscure. He has a career and a life of his own.
We did not pluck him from obscurity.
We did not pluck him from obscurity.
We found him from obscurity.
But these other... That's how I feel every time we bring a Jared onto this podcast, where it's like their life and their story and their interesting and their passions and what they're doing and how they're changing the world and how they're bettering things around them is so much better than you and me.
That's
so much better
So
than
much
you
better.
and me and director Jared Stern. The three, so much better than the three of us.
So what you have to understand, ye listeners who are listening, that you're getting the worst of the Jared Sterns.
Not only are we the worst, but it is our pleasure and our privilege on this reality TV show to pluck those of you out from obscurity and let the world see how amazing you are. I think the big point about like reality TV trash or treasure is the very fundamental concept that one person's trash is another person's treasure. And I feel that way watching reality TV. To me, reality TV is like Taco Bell at 4 a.m. when you're a little stoned. Like, and by a little, I mean a lot. It's just about how it's if you can consume it and not let it like own you and like drag you down, because reality can drag it down. But like to your point, I love reality TV that shows the best of people.
Yeah.
And using the worst of us as a foil, you and me, the foil of the best of us, which is the other Jared Stern.
Yeah, that's why we let the other Jared Stern shine, because we're so damn dark inside.
We are dark inside. And
horrible black pits.
So one thing I've always been curious about is why don't they merch reality TV shows? Like I don't see I don't see Survivor action figures.
I don't
see.
There's T-shirts. They got T-shirts. They got
I don't
merch.
know. But what if you want to recreate Survivor?
Also, these people then thrive on the convention circuit.
Yeah.
During fan expos, that sort of thing. Also, they go on to do other reality show stuff, like the people that compete on Big Brother and The Amazing Race and Survivor. They go and compete on MTV's The Challenge.
Oh, it's been incredibly incestuous.
Completely.
It's just all of them are all over the place. And I think that's the other thing. Like once you become a reality TV star, you are a reality TV star.
Yeah,
there's no breaking out of it at this point.
Yeah, because you're famous for being you, and that's so you're inherently you. You can't not be you.
Right.
So you have to just be you.
Yeah.
Like actors who are famous for a role can turn that shit off and are not necessarily that person.
Right.
But if you're famous on TV for being you, you're fucked, pal.
I've said this quite a bit about myself, which is if I was bullied and teased just a little bit less in high school, I probably would have become a comedy magician. The razor's edge of me going into some sort of like magician is just like one extra insult that was thrown my way and like knocked me back a little bit. And I wonder if I was born just a little bit later in life and didn't have so much to lose, would I have become a reality TV personality?
Well, I mean, I am you.
Right.
What? That many years later?
No, later. Like if I was born 5 years later.
Oh, 5 years later.
Into the reality.
Younger. Okay.
Older. Younger. If I was 5 years younger than I am now.
Would you have eventually made your way onto reality television?
I don't know. I feel like it's not. I don't feel like it's not something that I wouldn't do.
That sentence makes no sense whatsoever. That was not a reality sentence.
I don't feel like. Yeah, it's definitely something that I might not.
There are too many negatives, man. That sentence ceases to exist at some point.
If reality TV has taught us anything, that enough negatives will make a positive eventually. Hey, everybody. Thanks for sticking your ears between two Sterns.
Please leave us a 5-star review, even if it's a sarcastic one.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Have an idea for the show? Or are you also Jared Stern?
Shoot us an email. You can find links to everything at jaredstern.com.